All right, everybody. We are here and we are gathered in the studio for probably one of the last times.
Yep.
To do, well, this studio. We are moving, as Paul likes to say, moving to another studio. And
Studio 2.0.
Studio 2.0. This is Indie Film Cafe.
The
I'm
return.
your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with...
Paul Presenza, otherwise known as the Moo Cow Moo.
And we've got our special guest.
Jumpin' Joe.
Jumpin',
Where did that come from? I have no idea.
Remember, he does
Jumpin' Joe Turek.
Yeah,
I like that.
All right. Jumpin' Joe Turek. You want to keep that?
I don't know.
Or are you going to make it up the next time?
There'll probably be something else next time. I don't know. It's all good.
Jetstream Joe.
Oh, Lord. All right. Anyway, the movie, as Paul likes to say, that we have today is a very special movie to my heart. It's a movie that I got into. It's one of the films that got me into understanding the way to do independent film. And so when I first started actually getting into independent film, it was discussed in books and documentaries and stuff like that. So Paul may know it, but I'm not sure what year it is exactly. I know it's a 1990s film, early 90s.
Is it Sister Teresa the Spanking Nun?
No, it's a little movie called Laws of Gravity.
Oh, yeah.
I think you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I don't think you've seen it.
Mm-mm.
And this is a $38,000 film.
Nice.
That was made with film that was made and put to Sundance and did fairly well. And we'll go into that.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I just don't remember who's in it.
Oh, that's the beauty. So I usually pull out the movie and show Paul, but I don't want Paul to see it till the credits pop up, or maybe he'll see it when the cover pops up in the main menu screen.
Yeah.
But
Unfortunately, we don't have like a surveillance camera that'll show his reaction whenever.
Trying to think
list who's in it.
who
I might bring my video camera.
There we go.
Someday we should do that though, just for the hell of it, just for the shits and gigs.
Show or not show who it
Because
is.
there are times when I wish we were capturing just Jen's reactions to some of the stuff we're watching.
Or like some cringing with some of those.
Yeah. We've done it with Jackie. We've captured some of Jackie's things when we were all watching stuff on.
Yeah.
Because she's like, ugh.
But we never recorded it though.
I know.
We don't record those parts.
We should.
I don't know if we should. That takes up a lot of space, and then I end up not using any of it. So for anything, but
well, I figure if we record it, then take a few clips, then we can get rid of it, and it's fine.
That might be part of the setup for Studio 2.0.
There you go.
There you go. Well, until then, we'll be back after watching this movie, and we're gonna have fun. So we'll be back in a few. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
We are back.
We are back, and the monkey wants to fight.
Fight!
Fight!
I should have bought that second monkey because they would have been brawling in this.
We would have been brawling, man.
Every 10 seconds.
Yep, because he would have been intruding on his turf.
I know. We were actually talking about that, dude. Like, gang members actually call turf these days. I don't know. Just like, stay off my turf. That sounds like stay off my lawn.
I'm sure the kids these days have a whole different language.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we just watched Laws of Gravity.
No, we didn't fight!
We did not watch Laws of Gravity. We watched something else. What are you talking about?
What's the matter with you?
I'm glad we watched Laws of Gravity, though, because I think it was a great movie. How about you, Paul? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. A little bit overwrought. I don't quite get the reasons some of these characters do what they do, but I like the way it was filmed. There was some really good acting there, and it was great seeing, Pete Green and Edie Falco, and it was great. And I loved the period. I dig that period of New York's history because it's a thing for me. I kind of grew up going up and down and seeing, New York City back then. And
you weren't living there. You weren't living there then, though.
I wasn't living there, but okay. We used to go up there all the time.
Because the way this was guerrilla filmmaking, then you could have been.
Oh yeah, shit! I wish.
you could have been in the background maybe somewhere.
He wasn't making movies back then, or had nothing to do with that.
No, but like I was saying, I could definitely see Tina Kraus watching this and going, "Oh God, yeah, I totally lived that life. I know that world. I know people just like that.
Yeah.
But in passing, yeah, that had the ring of authenticity to it. So it was cool. I dug it.
What about you, Joe?
I wasn't sure what I was getting into with it, but then when I saw Nick Gomez's name on it, I was like, okay, I have a little bit of history watching some of his stuff, and obviously he's done a lot of TV, and you'll go into, I'm sure, all that stuff later. But so I was like, okay, well, I think we got good hands, and then saw a couple of people in it, and I was like, this has got potential. And
I recognized Edie Falco immediately.
Yeah, we took a video of it just to see what his reaction. He was just like, from the very beginning. I mean, even Joe noticed Pete Green from the very beginning, and then,
the Blu-ray slide,
the menu thing
slide,
had him on there, and there's just no way I could cover that up or whatever. So, but thankfully he didn't have Edie on it, because I would have been mad, because even though she's gorgeous, and why not have her on?
So young in that movie, 1992. She probably filmed in 91.
I'm trying to think if I've seen a Peter Green performance where he was like the main character. Like, I know
usually he plays like bad guys, like villains,
and supporting in some sense. Now he might have been like a lead in a horror film or something like that. That somewhere along the way.
Pulp Fiction.
No, he wasn't the lead of that.
No,
All right.
But he did control the GIMP, well, for some of it. But anyways.
So it was a budget of $38,000. It was bought for $500,000 by Island Pictures.
Yeah, that's great. Good
That's
for them.
the company that Island Records, their distribution for for that stuff. So
I thought I saw U2 as like a
I'm
Records.
Glad they get it and got it, and not someone like the Weinsteins.
Well, I mean, that time I don't think the Weinsteins were the Weinsteins yet. They didn't really. They were kind of getting there, but they weren't. I guess I don't know. But anyway, so the CEO of Island Pictures, Chris Blackwell, told one of the producers this: "Stay true to what you are doing. Stay true to your voice, and stay true to each other, because collectively you'll be more powerful than any one of you by yourself." So basically saying, don't let just one person take over the production. Make sure you all are together, sticking this together. That became the biggest problem, sort of, with with the company, with the shooting gallery.
And people don't understand, man. I mean, New York City had a almost as good of a film production capability as Hollywood.
Right.
For a good long time, throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s is when all the rents went up and people couldn't afford to do that anymore. So this is coming in at the tail end, because, you had Abel Ferrara, you had all the Troma folks. There was all kinds of people making films in New York City.
Woody.
And it just doesn't happen now. It's too expensive. Nobody can do it. You can still do Broadway, but for movies, it's just not really done anymore.
That's why they shoot Toronto for New York a lot.
Yeah. They have to.
What was that? Jason Takes Manhattan?
Yeah, but that was also shot
Toronto.
The 80s,
though.
That's Toronto or Vancouver. But
It's
Canada.
just nice to see a movie where they're still, be able to shoot in New York City, and it's grounded there.
Yeah. Well, Toronto does look a lot. I visited there last year.
Well,
it does look like New York,
except it's a lot cleaner.
It's cleaner and nicer people, nicer people. But well, maybe not right now with all the other stuff going
fights,
on. But
they're like, oh, have some Timmy Hose.
Yeah, exactly. But so there's financial incentives why and other reasons why it would be shot in Toronto versus New York, and that's unfortunate to your point.
All right, so it was written and directed by Nick Gomez, who we talked about earlier. He also wrote the movie New Jersey Drive and another movie called Illtown. He also directed...
that was Michael Rappaport, I think.
Well, he directed those movies, but he also directed TV shows like Homicide, Life on the Street, New York Undercover, and Oz. Daredevil and more.
So well, 3 of those 4 before you got to Daredevil, 3 of the 4 dealt with like the other side of the police side of it versus the criminal side.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately is where these people were going. A couple of them unwittingly, but
Now,
Dumbass
so it was written
Yeah.
and directed by Nick Gomez. It was produced by Bob I'm going to say Goss. It's Gosse, so unless it's Gossi or something, but it's
Like Fosse.
Ghost.
Gossi.
I'm not sure, but producer. He also produced movies like Another Girl, Another Planet, Handgun. He's done a lot of different stuff too. He's also a director. He's directed. I think he directed that movie I told you about, Niagara, and a bunch of other films. So
Handgun sounds familiar too.
a lot of them he did during the the shooting gallery days. Now, speaking of the shooting gallery, is also produced by Larry Meistrick. I did reach out to Larry Meistrick last night, telling him I was doing this. As far as I know, I did not receive a message back. I haven't checked in.
And he was in the movie too.
He was in the movie too. He played Pete, and Pete was that guy that shows up and he's in the car with. At first, he's in the car with Celia.
Smiley guy.
Yeah, he was trying to get with Celia the whole time and stuff. While
She was cute.
poor, I mean.
Bit of a hood rat, but she was cute.
So and then
She
but
didn't know
he
any
also
better. I don't think she knew any better. But
he was the producer of movies such as Sling Blade, Drunks. This movie Drunks, I really want to see. I looked it up, and I might actually buy it on DVD. Laying Low, and a movie Paul may have heard of called Henry Fool.
Oh yeah.
I've heard of that one.
So he's worked with. He actually produced a couple short films that Hal Hartley had done before, like Henry Fool and even before Undeniable Truth and stuff. So then the cinematography was done, and it was done specifically like handheld, like in your face. You're always it's almost like you're kind of hanging out with everybody all the time, instead of
That would be exhausting.
Yeah, there was very minimal angle changes in scenes. So.
Yeah, and they even said they really didn't want it to be where it looked like the camera was waiting for people to come. It was like it was already there with everybody.
It's also cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, and then they just took the natural
And
lighting
quicker.
And, yeah, it was
Quicker to
all.
film.
Yeah.
But he, let's see, the cinematography was done by Jean de Zugsnack. I don't know. I can't say his name. Sorry, Jean.
Carl J. Sukanik?
No, not that guy. He's the cinematographer of Homicide, Life on Streets.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Oz, Confessions of a Sorority Girl.
It definitely has that feel to it, because a lot of the stuff you see in Homicide is shot similarly.
Yeah,
and
gritty.
then he was the director of a bunch of Dick Wolf shows. So I see his name all the time because I watch FBI and Law and Order Special Victims Unit and stuff like that, where he is the director. He comes in and directs, episodes or whatever, and he's always fantastic. I always love seeing his name pop up. So I was very glad to hear that he was the cinematographer for this movie. So now let's get into the actors. Peter Green, as we know, it was Jimmy. Jimmy was the main guy.
Jimmy Lincoln.
Jimmy Lincoln, I think. And he had done, he was also in The Mask. He was the villain in that. He was in...
You're saying the Jim Carrey mask.
Yeah, the Jim Carrey mask, not the Eric Stoltz mask.
Yeah.
That's just Mask, not The Mask.
The mask, yeah.
He was also in Pulp Fiction. He played Zed. Zed's dead, baby. Permanent Midnight.
That's a spoiler.
No, it is. Well, if you haven't seen Pulp Fiction yet,
Well,
it's
yeah,
kinda your fault.
you got problems. 30 years.
Then
30
you probably
years
aren't going to be listening to this movie.
Yeah, you're probably watching.
Podcast.
You're probably not watching movies in general.
Yeah, and he's been in lots more. We all know.
Which makes me think that Tarantino's probably seen this.
Probably. Eddie Falco, I'm sure he saw it at Sundance or something, or whatever, because he won in '91, which means in '92 he was probably there
Presenting
or presenting, maybe.
Yes, so this was probably shown then.
Yeah, and he probably, I bet Nick and Tarantino hung out a bunch.
So was this Edie Falco's first film?
I don't think so, but...
No, I thought there was a couple other things.
But she was in, she's been in a lot of stuff, but The Sopranos, Sunshine State, 30 Rock, and more.
Nurse Jackie.
Nurse Jackie. she's been in a lot. Adam Treese played John. He was in
she had like 4 or 5 credits prior to.
Okay.
movies like he was in 40 Days and 40 Nights, Zodiac, Patriots Day, bunch of movies. I think that's the Mark Wahlberg Patriots Day, if I'm correct.
Who's this again?
What?
Who's this again?
That was the hothead Johnny.
Oh,
The guy we named Leo after the kid in Kids.
He looks like the guy
He
from
looked
Kids.
like him so much.
And he
kind
kind
of
of acted like him a little bit.
yeah, because you kind of had a dislike for him, kind of like we had a dislike for.
Have you
for
seen
Leo
Kids?
I say yes, but I don't want to say like yes, like jovially yes. It's like yeah,
That's a great film.
It's great, but it's
hard to watch.
It's hard to watch, and it's an
difficult.
experience.
And I like that. I like movies that are difficult.
Yeah, it's an experience, and it's unfortunate. It's one of those that make you think, and that's good. I mean, because there's times for that.
It definitely has a similar feel to this, you know.
So
At least these people were adults, though. That was
so
not,
now it doesn't
more
make
or
you
less.
feel as bad.
yeah,
Kind of
by age they were adults.
Yeah.
So then let's see. Arabella Field plays Celia. And that was the girl that unfortunately was
Yeah.
with Johnny. And we were like the whole time, just get out, go.
Getting smacked all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, her character, and I don't, she seemed to be a little up and down. I didn't quite understand where, because it was, and maybe that's just, I mean, the unknown. She just was clinging to him, but then she didn't want to be with him, but then she did. But I guess that's a battered relationship. That's what somebody could go through.
That's a toxic relationship for sure. So she was also in Dante's Peak, Godzilla, the 1998 Godzilla, National Treasure, and much more.
So she's usually a sort of a side player.
Probably.
And I saw she did an episode of Sopranos too.
She
no.
She hasn't been a lead anywhere.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but she had like 50 some credits. So.
Unless it's an indie film or something like that. Maybe.
But she did.
I'd be curious to see a movie where she was the lead.
So Paul Schultz is Frankie, and he was the father in Sopranos. He was also in Rambo, 24, and much more. Saul Stein played Sal. We love Sal.
Yeah,
Sal was one of the best characters.
Sal was like the voice of reason.
I know he was the
Tough, gritty voice of reason.
He was, but I think he had a bad side to him, but it was a very, I don't say rationalized. He knew the streets and he knew how to play the game.
He was tough.
I fully expected towards the end that he was going to finally get his money back from Johnny one way or the other, but they didn't go in that direction.
didn't go in that direction,
He'd be like,
no.
"It's time. I'm done. We're done."
Yeah.
Well,
Well, he told him.
we'll get to a lot of that. You know, there's specific scenes with that. But he was in Dead Man Down. He was in Open Water.
Open Water. Okay.
He was in Money Train and many, many more. Like these dudes' credits, like you said, like that girl had like 60 credits.
Yeah.
These people have like lots of movies.
So they went on to
went
on to like main Hollywood or main TV.
Like I said,
stuff,
there was a big industry in New York City, and you start to work in the indies there. That opened doors, a lot of doors for you.
So the guy that worked in the bodega, Tommy, who was the one who bought the guns at the end and everything, that was played by Tony Fernandez.
He looked like Paulie Walnuts.
And he was a drummer for the band The Strawbs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Cry No More. And he's been in other movies. He was in Bloody New Year as one of the drummers from Cry No More. And he was in a movie called Sphere of the Lycanthrope. Never heard of it, now I kind of want to chase it down because it sounds like an indie horror flick.
It seems like a lot of these people just ventured off into various levels of careers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Bill Sage is in it for like 2 minutes or something, but he was like the guy's pal, and I think he was like the pal of there's like two guys that were talking to what's his name, and you don't really see him much.
Was he the one riding in the back seat?
No. I think he was.
Pete.
I think they were talking to Frankie, and they were yelling at Frankie, and Frankie was
Gotcha.
getting into like a little fight with them. Like, I mean,
that
can describe almost any.
We said yelling at somebody
every
else. Like
scene.
you said yelling at somebody else. I was like, well, there was like 22 times in that.
Yeah, they yelled, they fight,
And
whatever.
we just were watching Sage too.
Yeah, so he's in Mysterious Skin, American Psycho, Boiler Room, and many others. So
Those are a couple good films.
And he's been in a lot of Hal Hartley films. I think Hal Hartley kind of more maybe gave him the like stuff, like give him some big stuff to do. I mean, he was just a small part in this, but Edward Burns, not in the movie or anything, heard about that this movie was made for $38,000, and decided to go that route for
Brothers
McMullen. So this
Okay.
movie inspired,
Interesting.
and I think it's because there was I believe there was in 93 or 94 or so, there was an article that Janet Maslin or something.
Oh, Maslin. Yeah.
Maslin. She did. She was a big time like New Yorker person, and she did this whole article on indie filmmaking and the budgets. And she actually posted the budgets, and she posted Laws of Gravity, and that actually helped, Brothers McMullen, I think, and then it also helped Kevin Smith with Clerks, because he got to see
Sure.
that these movies did not cost 38 grand. Kevin Smith made Clerks for 27 grand. Now,
I mean,
and one
look
last thing.
Look at some of the stuff that Jim Jarmusch has made. I mean, his stuff would have been cheap too.
So he said. So I talked to Vincent Pereira last night, right, and told him I was watching this movie and everything.
He
goes,
probably liked that.
And he goes, "I've never seen it."
Oh, really?
And I said, "Really? I thought this would have been the movie, like a movie that you and Kevin would have saw at the Angelica." He goes, "We heard of it. We just never. I guess I don't know why. We just never went to see it."
Interesting.
Right? And I thought that was interesting, because
What a shame we didn't have Vincent Pereira here too. That would have been great.
Yeah, he would have been able. Well, I think he would have enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I told him.
That's his time period too.
Yeah, and I told him that this was a really good movie that he should. But he did hear that. Like, he heard great things about it. That just wasn't something that they'd seen.
Yeah, if anybody can talk about the New York industry in that time period, it would be him. So we need to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when this was popular, or not popular, but when it was released and stuff like that, would have been when they were probably doing Clerks and stuff. Well, making it. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
We'll have to fly Vincent out someday and just have him come here and hang out.
Or he can invite us to the was it Vinema? The Vince Cinema.
Oh yeah.
It's always interesting seeing what he's up watching on the 4K cinema.
Him and his cat Ginger.
Yeah.
Who's not a female, by the way. It's a male cat. You found that out, but he already named him Ginger. I love Vincent. Vincent's a good dude, and it's nice to be able to just text him randomly and be like, "Hey, I'm watching this movie," and stuff, and get his input, because you're right. He was sort of the indie guru at that time of knowing what all these things were or whatever. I'm just surprised never. I mean, there was probably so many movies.
Yeah, there was a lot of movies in New York City coming out.
So it's hard to you have to pick and choose.
And the music scene, I'm telling you, man, 80s and early 90s, there was all kinds of great bands.
Were you a fan of the Strawbs?
I had heard of them. They were okay. I don't think I own any of them, but I know that they probably opened for a number of bands that I had seen. But the Cro-Mags. And,
when I saw that they were a New York punk rocker scene, I was like, "Oh, Paul will probably know who these people are."
Yeah. So I heard of them.
All right. Well, so let's go on. There's some more. There's a bunch more. So the things I want to talk about. First of all, digital versus film. Two different worlds. Today, with digital editing, a fade to black is just a click. Back then, that cost money.
Yep.
And so they chose to do just cut to black. And they did that a lot when they were kind of transitioning scenes and stuff. And we even noticed that they tend to do that when they didn't want to explain something. So if somebody got out, they just cut to black and then he just left or whatever.
So you would see a character in the room and then it would cut and then all of a sudden he's outside dealing with another character and you're like, wait, how did they get there? They just don't show that.
Yeah, and I think that in the one scene I think you're talking about specifically, the one thing that they did do that I did catch, it seemed like they played, you could hear Celia's voice in the background, like he heard it before they cut off to outside. So it's like you can make that connection that he heard her, so he's going to connect.
I heard a voice. I didn't know that was Celia's though.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The guerrilla approach. So there was a lot of guerrilla filmmaking in the commentary.
You got to.
38,000. You have no other choice. So
it's pretty ballsy with having having a whole camera set up with real film and everything like that.
But that bodega scene, that was a really cool scene, especially when you were just explaining how that came about.
So what happened was, and this is what I heard from Nick Gomez's commentary, is that they went into this bodega and they just asked. They said, "Hey, can we just film? We're making a film here. Is it okay if?" And it looked like a documentary, so they thought it might be just a documentary on shoplifters or whatever. And he said, "Can we look like we're pretend to be shoplifting? Can my actors do that? And then we'll just bring back all the stuff." And they said, "Sure, why not?" They said it like that, and he was like, "All right." So they went in there, just started pretending to shoplift, came back out, then walked back in, gave them back their stuff, and then went on to the rest of their day. But they had already had another option, which was go in, come back out with stuff, and then keep walking, or whatever, because we didn't really need to see it. But having seen it was kind of cool. Even though you were mentioning, though, there would have been somebody catching them.
Yeah, back then, before it was corporate and there were cameras everywhere and all that shit. Yeah, they used to just have people there keeping an eye on people who came in and out of stores like that, even little neighborhood bodegas like that, because they would get ripped off all the time. But it's all right because
and I think the way they work around that in films nowadays is they put somebody. They have if there's 5 people going in to do the robbery, 4 of them would go do it, and then 1 would divert against the people at the front desk.
And even then, not every bodega and every store could afford to have somebody like that. So they probably would have known in advance which ones they could get away with.
But shooting inside there actually it adds to the production, just the overall look of the film. It gives it more like it's a bigger production.
And it's an interesting thing because they're just stealing like household shit,
Right.
But that's the way it was. Like I was telling you, when I used to go up there with my friends in the trains, and literally we would say, let's go shopping, and we would get in the subway and we would go from the nice part of Manhattan all the way up to much further towards like Harlem and some of the upper streets. You get off, and then all these people, I'm telling you, man, they used to come to you with all their stolen shit. You used to go, 10 TDK tapes for $5. I'm like, sure. And you could buy anything there, and then you would just get back into your subway and go back down south, and then you would have a bunch of cheap shit, and that's how people made a buck back then. Yeah. For all I know, it still happens, but I don't think so. But
they and in this one, they even got into a debate on the quality of the shampoo.
Yeah. That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
As he was like, "You always steal the really bad shit."
And you think I keep my hair with this luster?
Yeah, with this luster. But I was laughing my ass off because I'm like, why does it matter? They're gonna try to sell it anyway. But what does he have to? Should he have trained? Was it Jimmy into stealing good shit? I mean, they were quick. They had to get in and get out as quickly as possible. They can't have time to debate. What stuff to steal.
Yeah, and so and a little bit more of that I think would have been interesting, and to see a little bit more of the petty crimes and a little bit more of some of the stuff that they have to do in order to get the money that they needed to live. Because I'm like, Jimmy, how the fuck did you even afford this apartment that you're in?
I know.
Well, was there Denise, Edie Fialco's character? She had a nice job.
She had a job.
She had the bartender
She was the
job.
one probably actually providing the money. The other guy, Johnny, we even said how does he pay his rent and everything. We thought we snuck through the windows because he just wanted to avoid his landlord or something, but it's never been said.
I mean, obviously in the beginning he's scoring a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there.
Yeah, because they were stealing boxes off trucks or something.
Even back then, I mean, rent was not cheap.
Nope.
Not in New York City.
So the other guerrilla filmmaking scene that's really sticks out is them shooting on top of that rooftop.
Yeah.
And shooting guns off
real
guns and making loud noises. They had to they wanted to be sure and do this so they didn't get arrested, filming, that they called the cops and told the cops that what they were doing. The cops sent one guy down there to just make sure everything was, was okay. And then they didn't get the cops didn't get called on them, so they I think they were a little disappointed by that, right? Cause
again, it's that whole world is gone. It's just gone. That kind of New York City's gone. You could never do that now.
Well, and I liked where and I think that part of New York's gone too is where they were talking to the one guy about selling the guns, and they had the whole New York's with the Twin Towers and everything in the backdrop.
Yeah, driving up that close to the water.
Yeah, and it was it just looked like it was from another time.
Yeah.
Paul was going crazy when he saw it because he was just like, I mean, you can't do that anymore.
No.
You know? You can't get that close.
I mean, when I was in high school, we used to go up there because what they would do is they would take us up every year, or maybe even twice a year, and they would have us go to these Broadway shows. But it wouldn't be until like 6 o'clock, but we'd be up there by 10 in the morning. So they'd say, go have fun. Until then, meet us all back here. They would let us loose, man, and we'd run around the city, and we'd go to all kinds of crazy ass places, and we'd get to go to the waterfront sometimes, or. It was fun.
I remember I was an extra in a movie in New York, and I got to go up to New York, and I was so excited. And one of the girls that I was with, one of the actresses, looks at me like, because I'm just like staring up, and I'm like in awe. Because in Williamsburg and Virginia, Virginia, all this stuff completely different than Williamsburg, New York, where they filmed this film. I was just like looking up everywhere, going, "Oh my God, I don't know this."
Same way. I can remember freshman year of high school in the early '80s, and I show up there on a bus full of students coming out of Pennsylvania Station, and I'll never forget seeing the very first homeless person I ever saw sleeping on the sidewalk there, and I was like, holy shit, this is New York City. Well, this is not the suburbs of Delaware.
I was 2010, right, when I did my thing. And the guy that I was supposed to be staying with and everything had to go up to New Jersey to go get some stuff. So he said, just hang out here in McDonald's in New York. And I was like, I mean, this sounds really dangerous, And he goes, he said, no, it's not, because there's a cop on every corner.
The other person I would love to have seen this, and maybe we can do it again for him, is Gary, because Gary actually early in his life had some family issues, and he ran away and actually lived in the streets of New York City right around this time. So he's another guy that I would love to see his reaction to this, because that's the world he experienced as a kid,
Well, my first introduction to New York, I was going up there to see a Dolphins game against the Jets, and I was staying in Secaucus. And anyways, I missed the exit for Secaucus, and I ended up at the tunnel. I was by myself, and I was like, at the lady at the tunnel, I was like, well, wait, can I turn around? She's like, no. I was like, where's the other side of this end up with? She's like, downtown Manhattan. I was like, okay. And she's like, good luck.
Good luck.
And this is like 1 or 2 in the morning on like a Friday night. So my first introduction to actually being in New York, I'd been up to Jersey a few times for football games, but actually in New York, I went into New York by myself at 2 in the morning. And I was driving downtown Manhattan. It was like the first couple cars cut me off, and I realized there was no lanes. People didn't really play lanes. I was like, okay, I know what the rules are. I'll play this game. And this is before navigations. I had my little Jarman, little device, but trying to get around town, I ended up in Queens, and I finally sort of saw Jersey across the river. I think I was in Battery Park or something. I was in some,
you were all the way down in Battery Park.
I was in some very bad areas all around and stuff. But I finally figured out my way around and got to the hotel back in Jersey. But and then the next day I rode the metro into or the subway or the bus and went around the city. And the first time I was in the city, it was just like you come out of the station and you look up and it's just like, oh my gosh, everything around you.
And don't get me wrong,
it consumes you.
New York City is still a fun place to visit.
Absolutely.
I'm dying to go there and do my slice of pizza tour, and I talked with Gary about doing that, just going up there and just sort of trying all the different pizza places and trying to figure out which one has the best slice. It's just that it's now very, very corporate. It's now very expensive, and that world that it was tough and gritty and even had some crime issues, but at the same time, it was cheap enough that you had a lot of artists there and a lot of movie people, a lot of music people, and a lot of blue-collar worker people, and they're all gone now because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that comes out on the news people that do shows or comedians, all these different things. They take it out in New York now because of the taxes and all just the high cost of living.
Unless you're lucky enough to get a rent-controlled apartment and you hang on to those forever, if you can, you're pretty much out of luck.
So, by the way, guys, this was not supposed to be a real movie. This was supposed to be just a calling card. This was supposed to be a prototype for something.
Here's what we can do.
Was it like a film,
right.
like right with him finishing school or something?
Yeah. So Nick Gomez originally made Laws of Gravity as a calling card, just something that he could prove, he could direct. But it ended up launching careers and becoming a defining piece of early 90s indie cinema. Let's see, sometimes the project you think is just practice becomes the one that defines you. So I think that surely is what happened with this movie for Nick. I mean, people got to see somebody direct a movie that felt so raw and so real.
It's just so funny. I wish I could talk to him and say, what was it like at that time? It's like you guys are shooting here, and then Larry Clark's down the block shooting another movie, and Scorsese's over there shooting a movie, and Abel Ferrara's over there shooting a movie, and there must have been a ton of stuff going on at that time.
I mean, yeah, cameras must have been like normal for people,
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing a movie? Oh, great. That other guy over down there is doing the same thing. That's crazy. Let's see. The other thing that Gomez talked about in his commentary that I thought was great, and I mentioned it to you guys before, was Gomez says that when you're hitting viewers with heavy or emotional scenes, you need to offer moments of lightness or relief, small gifts to keep them engaged, right? So we had some scenes, heavy scenes with Frankie and things like that, and then we got a little bit of a gift with everybody hanging out at the picnic area
Until it became another
until
fight,
it became another
and
part.
he's punching the girl.
Yeah. So but for a little bit we were enjoying it. Like we were like, oh my god, look! And even Paul was like noticing like everybody was talking over each other. Mm-hmm. It was normal. Like it wasn't like people were waiting for somebody to finish speaking before they were talking about having their discussion or something like that.
Because that's a bit of artifice that we sort of allow as movie watchers. We expect that all the characters are played by actors and they get the chance to say their lines. Whereas something like this that's part of the documentary field, nobody does that in real life. So
Nobody does
you
in
let
real
them
life.
do that.
Like if you're at a picnic and us three are talking about something, but there's three other people over at the other side talking, they're not going to just stop talking or pretend to talk,
Right.
which just happens in movies. I know when I was an extra in some Lifetime movies, they told us to pretend to talk to, like me and Jackie, pretend to talk to each other or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, so we'd pretend to talk to each other. But, like nobody does that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, usually you hear people in the background.
Well, the thing you mentioned about dealing something like heavy and then giving you a nice little reward and stuff like that, I think in this movie he did a nice job of doing that, and then it's like as the movie advanced, there was less dessert but more oomph. And it's sort of but that built because that built the tension towards the end. So it's just, I mean, that's a strong skill to have to be able to pull that off.
I agree with that. Though it did get a little tiring from me.
The fighting was a little much.
Yeah,
Well,
we kind of went from one to the next to the next to the next to the next to the
As
next.
I was saying, it's
enough,
a drinking game.
without enough. A few more gifts would have been nice, where they're not actually fighting, but there's some character development going on.
And even then, like, so there were scenes where, like, maybe, what's Edie Falco and Peter Green were having a great conversation, laughing and having fun, but then you see Johnny getting like really frustrated or angry or pissed off or whatever, and you're like, why are you getting pissed off, dude? Relax. But that's just his character.
That's who he is.
I would have liked like a nice soft scene where we get to see the reason why what's her name is so infatuated
Celia.
with Celia's so infatuated with Jimmy, even though he beats the hell out of her. I mean, there's got to be a reason, not just because she's in this toxic relationship. There's a reason why she's in a toxic relationship. There must have been something.
I swear, I think they've
before.
been together for a while, like since like
Right,
they were,
we're
like,
filling in the blanks, but I would like to have seen a little bit.
Yeah, you would have liked them to fill in the
But
blanks.
I think when they introduced him at the beginning of the movie, he was kind of gone from having that almost. It was like there really wasn't much of a nice side to him anymore. But I understand where you're going with that too.
Now here's the thing that was interesting to me watching the movie, because I only listened to the commentary last night, but I hadn't watched the movie since I think I rented this movie on VHS back in the day when I first heard about it. I was like, I want to check this out. I do remember liking it back then, but I don't think I see it differently as a filmmaker now. Like I see it more like back then I was learning about film, but now I feel like I know a lot more and I'm able to say, oh my god, those scenes are amazing. As opposed to, I would have taken a lot of these scenes for granted back in the day.
Yeah, well, general public watching I'm sorry.
No,
Okay. General public watching this movie might have problems with it versus us who watch these type of movies from a different context, because they're expecting the Hollywood structure to be in place where you have the music that the score that goes between the scenes. There's no score really here.
No.
There's some music, but not really so much of a score. And to your points about the cuts,
Well,
in the moving cameras and the non-multiple angles of shots, that's more of an independent style. That's not really the Hollywood structure,
right, because
which is good.
they generally can't afford to use it because in Hollywood, frequently, and it is one of the biggest bones I have a pick with the Hollywood system, is that they use music to not only telegraph what you're supposed to be feeling, but it panders and it almost grabs you by the nose and makes you say, "Oh, you've got to feel this now." Yeah, there are filmmakers who can do it subtly, but I think the audiences these days have come to expect that kind of thing, and it's
to be melodramatic.
And I'm glad to see that there are still films that don't do that. Now, in their case, it's probably because they can afford to, which I get, but I don't need to be told how to feel and what to feel and when to feel it. I would prefer to let the narrative, as told through the characters, tell me that, and then I get to feel what I want to feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but unfortunately, the Hollywood structure of filmmaking now
doesn't assume everyone's an idiot.
Doesn't parlay that very as well. I mean, there'll be few instances where some movies they'll do like some movies like that, but it's more the exceptions than the norm. The norm is more geared towards the masses and the first weekend's gross or streaming numbers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. It's not like Stanley Kubrick didn't do that too, but he does it in a way. First of all, he uses not unusual music, and he does it in an extremely skillful way. But it's more like ketchup these days, unfortunately. Yeah. So, I liked seeing it like that. I liked being able to sort of form my own opinions about these characters without having the filmmaker telling me how to feel them through music.
Yeah, and not having multiple camera angles at times can be a disconnect for me, but in stuff like this, it didn't, because even if it was a handheld and it was shaking or whatever at times or whatever, it left you with a sense of imbalance in the film, because that's what was going on. That documentary feel, that right up in your face. You're on a ride with these people and stuff like that. And to me, that worked. That style.
I mean, so I really liked it. There was some was it trivia from IMDb. The film took just 12 days to shoot.
I was wondering how long they took.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And the whole production cost was $38,000.
A lot of that was just the film stock, probably, and the cameras.
Paul Schultz, Saul Stein, and Arabella Fielder all appear in New Jersey Drive. So, you ever want to watch that again?
And I'm sorry, what was the name of the movie that we watched with Tina Kraus?
Amongst Friends.
Yeah, Amongst Friends. I will say, I mean, there are definitely some similarities between these two films. I think in Amongst Friends, they set up the relationships between the main characters a little better. You know what I mean? As to why was he putting up with these people? Well, yeah, they're friends, but there's got to be more to it than that. And I think they did that a little bit better in that film. I think in this film, it was less of a focus, and they kind of wanted to show more of what's happening between the characters as opposed to why they're doing it.
I feel like that was a choice because and that was a good choice actually. So let me say this, because then maybe this will change your mind on things, Paul. First of all, the documentary thing puts you right in where you're with the guys, right? So you're in there, you're almost hanging out with these guys. And these guys have been together forever, right? Now, they could have wrote a line where they said, Sal says, why are you hanging, out with, I've been hanging out with these guys since. Nobody says that. Nobody talks like this. Nobody gives, that stuff to people. So when he does that stuff, Sal already knows. Sal knows this stuff. If Sal did that, it would be for the audience, and that's pandering to the audience, and it's not real and stuff. They tried to make this as realistic and stuff as they can. When we lose that stuff, not knowing why, it doesn't matter. The matter is it's happening.
And I get that. My retort to that is that it puts me in a position where I'm suddenly with a group of people that I don't know anything about.
Right.
And that can be a little off-putting because they all know their relationships, but I don't. So I have to try and figure this stuff out, and I'm like, because I'm trying to construct why these people are busy with each other. Meanwhile, the plot continues to go along. You know what I mean? A little bit here and there might have been a little bit more helpful, and I don't think it would have crimped the style of the film, in my opinion. But that's the choice they went with.
I had a feel that they were with each other for their whole lives, so it just kind of felt natural that. And I made a comment when we were watching about athletes and stuff like that. They can't turn their backs on people from their childhood because it's part of who they are. So it's like when I saw them, I was like, well, they've been together for 15 years. Yes, there maybe could have been something tweaked in a line that might have made it seem that oh yeah, we've been together for 15 years. I don't know. I mean, it had to be very delicate done, but at the same time, I kind of had to feel that they were there all the time, and it was like you're never going to turn your back on your friends.
Or it's family. People will do things for family, even if it doesn't make any sense to anybody on the outside.
Like same thing
like
with
if
friends,
they were cousins, if they were blood, it would make a little bit more sense.
Some people say you can't. You can choose your family and you can choose, your blood. You don't see Jimmy's brother or something like that, so maybe he views Johnny as a brother, and so that stuff like that does not bother me. I was not ever put off by the fact
and that's just it, is that we're coming at a time where he's part of the guy's chosen family, but you're getting nothing but fights all the time. He's ruining your life. Why are you still friends with this guy?
When I saw how Jimmy defended, I can't remember his friend's name. Frankie. Jimmy defended Frankie to Sal, and knowing that Jimmy and Sal had a friendship, real close friendship too, and Sal giving him kickback about it, to me that showed that Frankie meant that much to Jimmy as well, and Jimmy was torn. So to me it was it was kind of there.
Yeah. That's the other thing that I wish had been a little bit wrapped up. Was that real? Was Sal's information real, or was he using that to sort of play with those guys?
And then another thing, I didn't mind that we never knew, because in my opinion, that's a thinking thing. Is like, do we think that? Do we think not? If he had told us that, like, one way or another, then we already we formulate our thoughts on that. It
obviously it meant something to Peter Green's character, and I personally would have thought he would have really pushed that a little bit more, because if your friend's a rat and you are selling guns for him, man, I'd be extra super careful about that shit, so that if that guy goes down, he's not going to drag you with him.
Now, there was and so we haven't really been talking about, like, specific scenes much, but that's the stuff with, what's his name, Johnny getting locked up, and then, we got to find him bail money, and he goes right to freaking Sal, and I'm like, you're going to go to the one guy that you owe money to?
Don't spend money you don't got.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not fucking helping you.
But at the same time, that shows how much that Johnny thought of Sal, that Sal was like, I don't say a big brother, but he was like, he was desperate, obviously.
Right.
But he would go to Sal because Sal was almost a voice of he was always going to be there for him. That's why I took it as.
Put it to you this way. Ain't no way in hell Sal was going to allow Frankie, a guy he thinks ratted on somebody where he's stealing cars and getting guns, to hide guns in his house.
Right.
That ain't going to happen.
So that's why he went to Jimmy, because he knew Jimmy would allow him to do that. Which I even think Jimmy shouldn't have done that, because he had a wife that had nothing to do with this stuff, and like she was saying,
I'm surprised she let it happen.
Exactly, she gave him some shit about it, but she didn't put her foot down and say, "Fuck no, you idiot! You're not going to let this guy leave his possibly stolen guns. Are you nuts?"
I know, like she knew like that was the case, and there's that scene where he's like looking for the guns, and she's like, I don't know where they are. Like I didn't touch them. I don't know.
Watch your guns for you.
Yeah, and and then he got all like, you don't see what comes in and out of here, and I'm like, no, not every time.
No, I live my life.
Yeah, like she goes and works. She has a job. he can go and take the guns
It's
out
not
at any
my
time.
job to watch your shit that you left behind on your choice.
Yeah, so that was your mistake. And then, I thought he was going to go after Jimmy, at the end.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I thought too.
And then he
That
turned
makes
everything
sense.
to Johnny because Johnny wanted to punch him and stuff.
And even then, you brought up a good point. I mean, he's going to get the money back. You just got to wait, you dumbass.
Yeah.
Well, no, they got to tell him that.
Yeah.
None of them told him that. Like, look, dude, but see, the
He
problem,
put it together. He figured it out.
Frankie did, and then on top, because he came and he punched the crap out of that Tommy guy because Tommy took the, Tommy took the.
Yeah, he bought the guns.
Bought the guns from him, and he had told him he didn't want him to buy the guns because he didn't want to buy them at that low of a price, But Jimmy is desperate. So if Jimmy had just gone to Frankie and said, "Look, we got to get Johnny out. Johnny can help us get guns. Gets the guns sold too. Like us three are better with just right. Let's sell them to this guy. Get the bail money. Then that money comes back. You got the money,
Right. Yeah, I hate to say it, but those were not Johnny's guns to sell.
But and Frankie probably was thinking, and this is just speculation because it was never said, but Frankie was probably thinking, this dude skipped bail before. What makes you
Sure.
think he's going to go back and get us the money again?
And there's the argument that should have happened, but,
Right.
but doesn't happen.
I think there was a little bit of a, because the whole thing is Shakespearean in a way. But I think
Wow, Nick Gomez is going to love this.
I think towards the end though,
Because they're all flawed.
Yeah, exactly. The one problem that I do have is who got shot at the end.
Yeah.
I was hoping, not hoping in the sense of like, because it's bad that anybody gets shot first. But I think for the sense of the story, I think it would have been much more tragic had Jimmy or Denise, but Jimmy would have been the one that got shot
Or Celia.
Because but I'm thinking Jimmy because
Celia,
Jimmy's
that's
the
who
one.
you were thinking.
Jimmy's the one that was tied in between. Celia
said
or
Denise.
Denise, yeah, either one. But I think Jimmy.
Someone who
would've-
doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, well, Jimmy
deserved it.
Jimmy was pulled between all these different. Yeah, the guy got shot. He kind of deserved it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You're saying Johnny got shot.
Yeah, Johnny got shot, but I think it would have been better if it would have been Jimmy because Jimmy was torn between Sal, between
Right.
John, between Frankie and Denise, and all these different things. And the story centered on him, and it would have been so tragic. And that's a Shakespearean element. I think
Exactly.
If it would have been him that got it.
I agree with you because when that happens, when it does happen in front of us, all I kept thinking was, well, dude deserved it.
Yeah.
As opposed to one of the girls who did not deserve it, or somebody else who was innocent of this whole thing getting it. Would have been a stronger tragedy.
and I think that's the Shakespearean element that I'm sure Nick Gomez has his reasons for why he chose what he chose. It's just for me, if it was me, I would have gone a different direction
And
with that.
it's
'Cause
consistent.
I think it would have been more flowed with the whole
I think
story.
it's consistent with the way you were saying how he's shooting it as a documentary style, because we are in the audience are simply watching it because we don't share the reaction that Peter Green's character shares, where he's all upset about it.
I'll tell you something. Maybe this will change your minds. I think it should have been Frankie that got killed, and this is why. Because Johnny, at the end of it, if Johnny had killed Frankie, he's going to jail for life. Like there's no getting out of that.
But Frankie has
no
the
bail.
gun. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, but it sounded like they were having a little bit of a scuffle and stuff, and then it went off. So it could have been like they were fighting with the gun, and then
Now,
bam.
and that's the other thing. It would have been nice if Frankie had found one of the guns at his place. That like he got the guns, but he didn't get all of them, and he found one of them, and that's the gun that he ends up using to kill Jimmy. I personally would have done.
You would have
that.
been okay with Jimmy?
Whereas him just kind of he shows up with a gun that he got from wherever.
So you would have rather Jimmy died at the end?
Well, if you're going to stay with the documentary style where you're not trying to make the audience feel necessarily anything, just observe what happens, I think it's fine with Jimmy getting shot.
You mean Johnny getting shot?
Well,
Jimmy
no.
being Peter Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Jimmy didn't get shot.
No.
No. So Jimmy lived, and he was yelling and saying all these things. Johnny got killed, and then it's just kind of ends with that.
And it's kind of expected. It's sad, but it's like, well, I mean, he
really
was
sad.
It's sad that a life was lost.
Life is lost every day, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's
Some people deserve it.
there had to be something. I would hope that there'd be something good in him, but it obviously it wasn't shown in this film really.
No.
But it's just sad that a moment like that would come to that. And I'd like to understand, and maybe in the if he talked about it in the commentary, he didn't.
Sadly.
I'd like to know his thinking on, if he's the one who wrote it too.
Yeah, he wrote it too.
Why he chose that path of an ending. Because that could be very interesting to hear his mindset when he went into it.
The reason is because he's showing how life was at that time in this place and this period. People die, and they die for stupid ass reasons, and this is part of that life.
But he quote unquote kind of deserved it. Jimmy
yeah.
or somebody else maybe wouldn't
that's
have,
why
but
they
it would
did
have
it.
been a
Why they went
byproduct
that route
of
because
it.
it's safer to have the villain die at the end than have somebody that people care about.
Yeah, well, one of the two villains.
Yeah,
because Frankie's a villain.
Villains, Frankie's a villain too. So
yeah, Jimmy's just flawed. I mean, he's bad. He does some very stupid things, but he's flawed, and I think that's what it would have been more impactful to me.
Right.
If
To
something
me,
happened to him.
he's not necessarily evil enough to deserve being shot. He's dumb enough, but not necessarily evil enough. That's the difference.
Yeah. So it's but filmmakers obviously make their have their reasons for why he chose a specific path.
My feeling is for Peter Green's character, his flaw is he thinks he's smart enough to be able to control everything, and he can't.
He can't.
It's out of his control, and he doesn't understand that until the end when now he's
lost.
He's lost somebody, and it's kind of his fault.
Yeah, and he has two strong characters on his side that seem to be Sal and Denise that seem to
try to give him good advice, and he doesn't take it.
Yeah, so it's just that's why I think the tragedy would have been a little more impactful for me.
Both people keep telling him just dump those guys. If you dump those guys, right? And man, God bless Denise because like she let Frankie stay at right.
She didn't like it.
Yeah, she was like, "What? The house guest is here," and he's like, "The house guest, whatever. All you're treating them like they're, whatever." And like, yeah, well, because they're not. They shouldn't be there. Like he's a thief. He's he apparently could be a rat. Like he's not a good person.
Because the way this ends now, it's like Jimmy's going to go on. I mean, yes, he's lost his one of his best friends, but he's got his wife. He's got some good people around him that he can move that direction. Now, I don't know if there's going to be any other ramifications with Frankie, but
I mean, he's a bit of a thief himself. Remember, he's still stealing shit. He won't take a regular job, and he owes Sal some money.
So he never got his true comeuppance, if you will, other than losing a close person to him.
Yeah, but that's his thing. He thinks he can control everybody. And
he thinks everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And I mean, even Sal keeps telling him, you need to get a job. And he even says, "I got you a place. I got you work." Basically,
it feels like the way that Peter Green's character is schooling Jimmy is the way that Sal schooled Peter's character earlier on in life.
Right.
And now Sal's like, "Dude, did you not listen to anything I taught you to get through this world?"
Because he even says in the beginning that he's training Johnny
right.
and everything like that. And I thought that was kind of cute, but I think that was real. Like I think he was really trying to teach
It's
him.
almost like he wants to be the Sal, but he can't because he just doesn't have what Sal's got.
He doesn't have the street smarts.
No.
And he doesn't have the ability to turn.
And that's his tragic flaw.
To shut down something that needs to be shut down.
Yeah, it's really good. I enjoyed that part. My nitpicks about the plot are just incidental. Overall, it's still a good film, and I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to see it. So that was way cool.
And I think for me, it's like I would have preferred a different direction at the end a little bit, but at the same time, it's like that's the level of taking it in my mind from something that was really good to something that could have been really great in my memory for a film. So that's about the only really difference to it. But
left it open for a sequel.
I think a sequel costs more than $38,000.
Yeah, not today.
Yeah, $38,000 wouldn't even cover the permit probably to shoot on site for.
That's a day.
Yeah, a permit just to shoot on the site there probably would be that.
Yeah.
Not much less than the production cost.
Yep. Well, I think we're at that time. Unless there's anything anybody wanted to, let me look at my notes and see if there's any last little things I wanted to make sure, you know,
We didn't really talk too much on the title too. That I think.
I don't know if there really was.
Well, I think laws of gravity isn't like it's
What
that
comes up goes down.
Whatever you're going to do, you're going to get grounded.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Well,
where these
A
characters
leads to
will-
B leads to C.
Yeah, it's going to be a sequence of events. It's going to.
So, Laws of Gravity was the first film produced by the Shooting Gallery, a now legendary NYC indie production company that helped back Sling Blade. The story is told in a documentary, Misfire, The Rise and Fall of the Shooting Gallery, which is free on YouTube. You know, people can go check that out. The movie wasn't just part of the movement, it started one, you know, right? And so it helped start one. I wanted to point out here, too, how many films were actually part of it, of the Shooting Gallery. And there were a lot, but I don't know if we're going to go through all of them. But Laws of Gravity was 92, Handgun was 94, New Jersey Drive was 95, Drunks was 95, Cafe Society, that's not the... I think there was a Woody Allen movie called that, but that's not that. Comfortably Numb was 95, Sling Blade was 96, Nonstop 96, The Last Home Run 96, Laying Low 96, Niagara 97, Henry Fool 97, I Went Down 97. So they made 5 movies in 97. 7 movies in was it 98, and that became part of what the Rise and Fall was they took on too many projects instead of concentrating and focusing on one project at a time, which, you know, if you notice, 92 to 94 they basically had done another movie, so they were good. These were movies that won awards and everything, but once they got money from Sling Blade, I think they just started to do all these things. And then the documentary goes into the guy that we saw, was it Peter or whatever, Pete, you know, the character that kind of was, you know, I guess he was when they were trying to sell.
Yeah,
and
the
after
dude
a while,
in the car.
Yeah, the dude in the car and everything. That was the producer. And what he did was in 2001, he was they were making the movie You Can Count on Me, which is coming to Criterion, actually.
Oh, okay.
And they were making that movie.
Isn't it like a family drama?
I think it was a drama, but I don't think it was a family
Not
drama.
family, like inner family dynamics and stuff like
Something
that.
like that.
Like the R-rated, I believe.
Yeah, it's an R-rated movie. And I think at one point they were trying to get into the new media stuff and everything, right? Because that's what everybody was doing, was getting into computer stuff. So they faked a bunch of computer stuff and made them look like they were a big computer company and doing all this stuff. And it was all lies and everything, fraud. And they got in trouble with that. And then they went bankrupt.
This is the producer, not
but now
Gomez
he's
and
off.
the-
He's doing his own company. He has his own company now.
I know Gomez. He was working with Spike Lee on with New Jersey Drive and stuff like that too. So
that guy was Larry Meistrick, and he is
Gotcha.
now the chairman and founder of Red Coral Universe, which is a free app, movie app that
Nice.
you can do. So he's still out there making movies and doing stuff.
And Spike Lee came out of that group too. Yeah.
Yeah, Spike Lee was part of this stuff and everything. So like these guys are out there making, you know, good freaking stuff we're making really good stuff in New York, and I'm glad to see Larry's still busy working because he's got a bunch of projects there coming out.
And don't forget Blood Marsh Raccoon.
Yeah, I don't. I'll forget about that.
is that produced by him or something? Or?
No, that's another New York
Just
movie.
another
but
New
it's
York or New
more
Jersey.
bottom of the-
I thought it was New Jersey movie, but all right.
Oh, that drops at a different level if it takes
Yeah.
to New Jersey versus New. Is that really
That's
right?
New York. It's New York.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know,
Anyway,
tomato. Yeah.
we're here. We're at the end. We're going to talk about our scores. So we do a 1 to 10 score. 1 being it's called a stinkometer score. For those of you at home that don't know, it's a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being very, very good, and 10 being very, very stinky and bad. You can also do a 10 plus if you feel like you need to, or a 0.5, like 5.5, 6.5 if you feel the need, like you can't decide between one or the other. So I'm going to let Paul go first.
Well, I'm going to let you go first.
Joe go first. Okay.
You're our guest, Joe.
Oh, so I get to have the honor of setting the tone to either
yep.
be obliterated or to be
damn straight
embraced with my thought. Well, I went into a few things on a little bit of a couple questions that I had towards the end that I wish it would have been a little different, but at the same time, filmmakers make their films for specific reasons, and I obviously defer to that. That said, that still took it's. I'm still a little bummed at that point, but overall, really good film. I'm going to wrestling, but I'm going to go 2.5.
2.5. All right, Paul.
Yeah.
You're next.
So I think it's really it's definitely worth watching, especially if you're into the indie film movement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of problems other than some of the nitpicks that I mentioned earlier. I probably, if it were me, I would have done things a little bit differently. I would like to have seen a little bit of an enrichment of the character, even though that goes against the concept of doing things in a documentary style. I just would like to have seen a little bit more of the characters and what bonded them. But I'm going to probably score this a 2.
A 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
Good.
2 to 2.5 was where I was at. So
I was wrestling between a 1.5 and a 2.
There
But
you
I
go.
think a 2 is because oh my God, we've seen so much worse movies than this.
Yeah.
This is a very good film.
Well, it's interesting that you said that because I was gonna go 1.5. So I did the 1.5, and I wasn't wrestling on that. That was my choice. You were wrestling on 1.5 or 2, and you were wrestling on 2 or 2.5.
Yeah.
So it's fun that we all had sort of the kind of a different reaction to it.
It's crazy
Like
that
a 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy that I gave it the quote unquote lowest score when it's really not about low score here because it's not. It's good.
You get the highest score.
Yeah, highest score.
Highest score.
Yeah. So it's like it's not because it's not quality. I mean, this is a quality film and very impressed. And I'm
For
much
38K? Hell yeah.
Oh. Yeah, 38K should drop it on that alone because I mean that's insane that they shot that for 38,000. I know that's 92 versus now, so what 38K will probably
It's
be
just
60 now.
all
but,
the constant fighting got exhausting for me.
Yeah, that
That didn't bother me at all. I mean, it just seemed like that's how those characters are always were gonna be.
And all I kept thinking of was, God, if it were me, I'd have just walked away, and
but
there would have been no movie.
It's like almost every scene. It's like okay, it's gonna move the story along this way, but they're gonna end up in a fight. Move the story along this way, it's gonna end in a fight.
And that's why I'm like, fight.
Yeah.
Every
Like,
scene ends up with the fight. That's how they end the scene is. How do we end the scene? Fight!
Yeah. So it's like I can see that, but overall,
It didn't bother me. I mean, honestly, Johnny being kind of a douchebag and hitting his girl and smacking her around and just, I mean, dude, if the dude just chilled out, and like wasn't a hothead all the time, but even Nick Gomez pointed out in the commentary that's sort of a trope, that you have in these kind of movies, and like, once again, in Mean Streets, Robert De Niro played a character named John. Complete hothead. Always got into fights, always did all these things and whatnot. It just wasn't he was doing it every 2 seconds. Like this
Right.
character. They might have overdid it with that. But I didn't even, once again, that didn't bother me because that just seemed like his natural thing. And, what, if you were exhausted and just like what, maybe 3 or 4 days or whatever this movie took place over, imagine if you had lived with them for life.
Oh,
like
God, yeah,
you
no.
would have been like, I'm surprised Sal even put up with it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, I know you owe me money, but fuck it. I don't want to.
Denise being such a good, obviously a strong character, you think at some point she'd just be like, man, screw this.
Yeah.
But the thing I've learned over time as I've gotten older is the people that have embraced you throughout your entire life, or that you've been stuck with in some way sometimes, can hold a place that you can't shake, and they couldn't shake each other for different reasons, and that's why I said Jimmy, that was kind of his downfall.
Yeah, it's just when he's
Is it really his downfall though? Because he lost his friend, but he gained his freedom, I guess.
But the part where he's like, oh, I'm gonna let me take care of my life. I know how to take care of my life, and all I wanted to say was, dude, who just bailed you out? Who?
Yeah.
You? No.
Your friends bailed you out for whatever reason. Nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, even back then, you don't want to be around Rikers Island. That's not a happy place.
It is just this is another movie that just I don't want to say that in a lesser fashion, but it just reiterates the point that people are just, I mean, some people are, there's lost causes, and some of these characters in here, they're just lost causes because they're a product of the situation that they were brought up in and who they are.
Mm.
well, I'm trying to find out if we've ever had anything lower than a 6. I think we have. I think there's been one that got maybe a 3 or a 4. And I want to say that was the one we did last season, which was
Blue Ruin.
Blue Ruin. It's the only one I can
I think
think
that got
of.
like a 5 or a 6.
I got a 4.
Got a 4.
So,
Oh.
but this got a 6. So this was
This
still
close.
This is close to Blue
Yeah,
Ruin.
I'd say Blue Ruin had a little more polish to it, and it's just a different movie. I mean, obviously that was made digitally, and yeah, but this quality-wise, this comes close. So
Yeah, I can't see.
I forget. Did you see Blue Ruin?
No,
Oh,
he
you
wasn't
gotta
part of
watch
that
it.
group.
It's really good.
Unless you saw it on your own.
No, I don't think I've seen it. Doesn't sound familiar.
Let's see.
Oh.
I'm trying to see if what did we give Amongst Friends?
You said Amongst Friends was sort of a Mean Streets type feel to
Yeah,
it, like this.
So we gave that an 11.5.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little higher.
Yeah, that's a lot higher. It, I mean, we liked the movie, but it just wasn't. It wasn't as. I think this was a much better movie, but I agree with Paul that the characters were a little bit more established. But then again, it was structured and different. It felt more like a regular movie.
You weren't dropped into the slice of life like you are.
Yeah, it wasn't a slice of life movie. It had a plot. It had like A, B, and C kind of thing. This did not have like a normal structure where this has to happen at this certain spot. And this
Well, that's
happens.
the thing. This movie completely was anti-Hollywood structure, and that's fine. I mean, I'm good with that.
I know, and I think that also was a part of them as a group of filmmakers,
Right.
Because it seemed like they've just made shorts on the cuff, so they would go out and make a short film, and then next week another group or other people go out and make a short film.
I'm
and then
jealous.
Yeah, well, it reminded me of Sam Raimi and the Detroit Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Purchase Mafia. What are we? The Echo Lake Mafia?
Yeah, there you go, the Echo Lake Mafia.
So we came out and like that's the thing. Like they went out and they like the Detroit Mafia. They went out and made, like with Sam Raimi and them made all these silly shorts.
They were all friends, and they just made stuff with themselves by themselves. They weren't bringing in people from all over the place. They
Well,
just
I mean,
did
if
what
they were
they
like,
did.
"Hey, I've got a friend who wants to be a part of this," and then they'd be like, "Sure." So then they would go, but they wouldn't have them direct. They'd have the people like Sam Raimi or Scott Spiegel or Josh Becker sometimes directed shorts. So they all kind of just kept doing that. Whenever somebody had like an idea for something, they would go out and help each other make it. And I think that's what they did with this group. Is they started on shorts. One of the directors that worked for them was Danny Leiner. It was Leiner, and you might know him as the director of Harold and Kumar, Go to White Castle. He also did Dude, Where's My Car? He also did a lot of big New York. I think he did like Homicide.
Not up your alley, huh?
No.
He did Homicide, Life on the Streets, and things like that too.
That is my alley.
But he also directed a movie, and we're gonna do it at some point because I had it on VHS, So if I can find it on VHS when we move to the studio, we'll do it for Short Film Saturday. But if not, I've found it on online on Bob Goss's YouTube thing. I mean, that would be, if I got to interview them, that'd be the stuff I want to talk about. Like, how was it going out making shorts like this, like, or movies, things like that on the cuff. But the movie was called Time Expired and had John Leguizamo as like a cross-dresser kind of thing. Like it was very weird. It was very trans, like, happy, like, back then. And that was not the normal thing for
Give Nick Gomez a call. See if we can get him on the show.
Dude, I'm pretty sure he's booked up. He's constantly working.
Never know till you try, man. Yeah. Hey, tell him we're talking about a film that probably not too many people talk about.
Yeah, and he listened to this. He'd probably be like, "Who's this jackass telling me I should have done something different with the ending of the story?"
Well,
it's just our opinions. That's all it is.
Hey,
Still,
you
really
never
good,
know.
really good
Some
film.
directors, man. We did a movie called Creatures from the Pink Lagoon, and it was about gay zombies, and the director loved it. Loved our loved our review, and wants to come on and talk with us and stuff and everything. And so, like, it's really...
We've run the gamut with people who their reactions to their films.
I always like it when the directors are cool with what, like we have that one director for the werewolf zombie babies from Hell movie and everything, and then he came on our show, was happy, and then he ended up reviewing movies with us.
But we got to do one with him.
The way that I look at it is I try to be insightful and thoughtful and respectful of the process. And what he made, in this instance, he made a quality film. I'm giving a thoughtful thing and how me as a viewer, how it impacted me, and how I wish it could have possibly done something a little bit, but at the same time, respectful for his choices.
Exactly.
And you were saying something about how he's done short films and stuff like that, or they were all doing short films. This was, an hour 40 or something like that. So it wasn't like just over a feature length time.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem long.
It went fast, yeah.
Yeah, it went fast. And if anything, it could have been longer because it could have been more.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I know, right? It could have been more. It could have been more. More would have been fine.
Yeah.
So
that's why I said there's room for sequel.
I don't know.
And seeing Peter Green in a starring role, I
was nice.
I enjoyed that.
I would like to see Nick Gomez do another movie with Pete Green. I think that would be great.
As a lead in something.
Bring Edie Falco back, and then and it doesn't have to be a sequel, but just another movie, talking about different characters in New York, dealing with stuff that's going on now. That would be something like Criterion would buy.
Or I could see Peter Green and Edie Falco. It's now 30 years later. They have a kid.
They live in the Hamptons now or something?
Well, no, they're in the same place, and now the movie explores that New York or the Bronx or whatever it was, Brooklyn, the way it is now and how things are now and how that has completely changed.
Well, then Peter Green's got to get a job.
Yeah.
He
has to get a job.
He has to listen to Sal and get a freaking job and not be a crook all the time, because you can't. Nowadays you can't just go into a store and just start stealing shit.
I like to think he's learned his lesson.
Unfortunately, a lot of these characters, I don't think they would have longed for life after 30 more years. I don't think some of them would have.
Yeah,
made it,
I think he would have given up, and he would have been like he definitely would. I mean, he doesn't have Johnny anymore, and Frankie, he's probably like, fuck that dude now. So like, he probably would go off and just be with Denise, and Denise would still be with Celia as friends, and they'd all hang out and shit like that.
It would be interesting. I wonder if Nick Gomez has thought about that, or has even written a few things about that. Probably not, but you never know.
Well, I think once you've done the film and it's out and it's available, and then you've moved on to the next project, after a while you're not thinking sequel.
Some people though, they get attached to certain characters, and they have thought about what the next thing would have been for them.
Yeah.
I do think that if this was something that was burning in him, that he would have probably attempted it 20 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's moved on after he did the next book.
Yeah, if there was anything else to say with those characters, because a sequel for sequel's sake, I don't think he would, or any of them would really be a part of it.
Well, and it's not like this made a ton of money.
Yeah.
It's different if you're trying to do a sequel so you can make a little bit more cash, but I don't think that that's his style.
It might not have made money, but it did make a nice ROI. So based
Yeah,
off of the,
sure.
the amount they said, but yeah, I think this is. It'd be interesting to see where these characters are now, but yeah, I mean, at the same time,
That's a good mark of a film when you worry about or you think about these characters more beyond what happens in the film.
And when you said the ROI, it just reminded me like the executive producer, the investor that put up a good amount of the money, chunk of the 38 grand. He supposedly they went back to him and said, hey, can you produce or fund our next project, because that movie made money. They said, sure, I'd love to, and then they went on and did more movies. But if that movie had bombed or did not make its ROI or did not even at least double its profits, they're like, why would anybody want to, invest again? And they would have had a hard time.
I disagree. Fight, fight, fight.
yeah, that's is that the takeaway from this?
That's how we're gonna have to end it. So
Yeah.
Fight,
sorry.
fight, fight.
All right, guys. Very cool. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. We'll
Moody
be back.
breaking the mood here, giving us a good film instead of a stinker.
I know. Well, we're about to do a stinker anyway, so we're
Yes,
gonna
we
do
are.
that. And then, but that's actually funny enough. In the scheme of the schedule, that'll actually be released before. So this, this good one will be after that one, but it's okay.
You got to keep the timeline in order.
Just got to keep it going the way it's scheduled. All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Continuity Monkey was not needed.
Nope.
I do not think for this one. But Continuity Monkey will be back. Will return in the next movie that we review. So until then, everybody, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.